right, welcome back to KUTV Primetime News. Of course, you are watching Money Monday, so to say. And like I told you earlier, it's time we will be talking about strategic financial management. Now, I'm joined by Dr. Austin Omanya, who is a strategic manager. We want to really delve into how to save our finances, how to manage them well in times of a crisis. Well, as you all know, the country is in a crisis too, just to say the least. We have mass protests that businesses are recording losses and just individuals as well. So Dr. Austin Omanya is joining us live via Zoom. And just to say hi, Dr. Austin.
How are you? And I'm happy to be part of this discussion tonight.
Karibu sana. So I want us to just to begin with, in our last story before we took this interview, we were talking about a survey by Infotech, and Infotech says 72% of Kenyans feel that the country is headed in the wrong direction, and this is in terms of the high cost of living and just the state of the economy at this day and age. What would you say about that, Dr. Austin?
Thank you so much. I think we are in very hard times, and everyone can feel the pangs and the pain. When the fuel prices went up the other day, despite the fact that the court had suspended the implementation of the Financial Act or the Financial Bill, things have never been the same again, because it is true Kenyans are really crying and suffering, and we are not headed anywhere better. But you know what? As a financial consultant, I can advise you and tell you exactly what you can do in terms of crisis.
Right.
So we are not anywhere better, and that is why we have this discussion tonight.
All right. Now, before we also took this interview, I was having a discussion with a colleague, and he was asking, how can you quantify the amount of money to manage? I understand that you financial consultants can also say that someone can manage as little as 5 Kenya shillings. So let's just put it as 5 Kenya shillings. Let's start with that. How do I manage money as little as 5 Kenya shillings?
Wow, that's an amazing question. One thing you have to know is that financial management deserves or calls for a culture of financial discipline. Financial discipline means every single coin that gets in my pocket, I have to be accountable for that particular one. In short, what I'm saying is, when I give you 5 shillings today, and in the next few minutes you are not able to tell me how you use that money, then you need to come to a financial management or financial literacy class. Why? Because it has come to a time when every shilling counts.
Yeah.
And it is upon you to have that particular discipline. And you know what? That is why we talk about planning. So financial planning is going to help you on how you can manage the little that you have, such that by the end of the day, you are accountable for whatever you get in your pocket.
But now that you are talking about financial planning helps us to manage the little that we have, how do we actually now put it into action? How do we manage our finances now?
Financial management calls for some few strategies that I can share with you. Number one, you know what? Set a priority. Before you set financial goals, money will come and they will grow wings and they will fly. Why do you think people are very sober when they don't have money? And you could be having very good plans. You say, when I get 50,000 like today, wow, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But at the time you get this money, It is like money is telling you, why are you seated down? Can you go to...
It's dead on arrival.
So this calls for what I call, you can never have financial discipline before you set financial goals. Financial goals are going to help you set your priorities right. Because by the end of the day, I need to know, how much do I spend every day? And do you know what, guys? You can never have any meaningful financial literacy if you still spend like, somebody say, I have this problem, you send money here. I have this, you spend money here. You find something on the street, like right now. I know my ladies will crucify me, but listen to this, my ladies. The time for impulse buying is no more. Why? If basic commodities, you find it very difficult to bring basic commodities at home, it means you have to now get into another level of financial management. So set your personal priorities right, set your financial goals right, then create and stick to a budget. I normally see people picking things in the supermarket. Even right now, somebody picking things in the supermarket without a budget. Just look at that. Without a budget, you just go there, you pick. Unajaza kikapu. By the end of the day, these guys will go home yelling and mourning. Why? If you can't shop with a budget and you stick to that particular budget, you are always going to be in financial crisis. Guys, do you know what? Right now, if somebody asks you, like apparently I was in another training and people were asking me, now you're telling us about financial literacy. Well, you're telling us about savings culture. Do you think with this kind of economy, somebody can still save? Then I told them, yes, you can still save. You know what? All is not lost. And if you don't have the financial discipline, this is where you are going to start. The problem will begin here. So the basic financial literacy and understanding, the simplest one, is that every coin that gets in your pocket, you have to do three things. Number one, you set your priorities right. I know there are things that are important and urgent. There are others that are urgent but not important. There are others that are not important, not urgent. If you cannot divide, you take a ruler and somewhere where you are going to plan this, and you categorize your funds in that order, then I'm telling you, you are going to be in crisis, full-time crisis. So you set your financial priorities and goals right, what you need to achieve, what is very pressing, and you need, especially you start with debts. You know, one thing I tell people is that debt is a prison. And anytime you are into debt crisis, you even, you plunge into depression. And you see right now, guys, depression kills. And I've seen even people who have taken their lives. I've seen homes where financial, crisis raided, and it led to separation. Which means, as much as we go to church and teach people how to tithe and how to do ABCD, we have to be organized back at home. By the way, it has come to a time when everyone must now, every family must now go back to the drawing board. And you start categorizing your finances into urgent and important, important but not urgent, not urgent, not important. Then you agree, you create a budget. You create a budget, this is what we're gonna do this week, or maybe this month, and then you stick to that budget, okay? Then of course, you should also establish an emergency fund. This one people don't know. Emergency fund is very, very important. And don't ask me, where am I going to get this if I cannot get enough to eat? Guys, you have just to cut your coat according to your size. The time when we used to entertain other people is over. It is time now to survive. And for you to survive, you must have the financial discipline.
Now, from what I'm getting is that people who are surviving on credit are also not in a good state, but really we can actually find maybe solutions for these people who are surviving on loans. How can they really survive and be able to manage the loans that they're taking from the banks or from wherever they're taking these loans from?
One thing you have to know that loan is not bad, but a loan is a debt. And you see, if you take a loan and you don't invest this money at the right in the right project, then you are going to be stressed paying back this particular loan. And you know what? Whether you like it or not, you have to pay loan. The other day, I was talking to a group of young people, and they were telling me, you know what? We are not going to pay this government fund. How do we call it?
Housing levy. The housing levy?
No, the one that you can borrow, Hustler Fund.
Oh,
yes.
Hustler Fund. Okay.
Yeah, but they were telling me, no, we had some politicians telling us that we are not supposed to pay this one. Hey, I told them, hey, guys, look here. By the time you go borrow, what is in your mind? Do you borrow to eat? Do you know guys who are in crisis, financial crisis at the moment as we speak, are guys who go borrow money to eat. You borrow to consume. You are going to be in real trouble. You can never go to the bank, borrow money. Apparently, there's a group of women I really assisted in Homa Bay County to secure a loan, the youth fund. And then they use this loan to buy new dresses and to change the diets. By the time the auctioneers came, they took like everything. I'm just saying this. Financial literacy is very good. It tells us on how we can even deal with our debts. How do you manage your debts? Okay? How then do you borrow? When should you borrow? And how much should you borrow and when? This is very important. But somebody just wake up in the morning and they say, I need like 0.5 million, You go to the bank and you start processing this money. The bank will give you 0.5 M. It will give you, and you'll find that money in your pocket, But what do you want to do with this particular money? What do you want to do? And have you calculated? This is where also entrepreneurial mindset comes in. If you don't have entrepreneurial mindset, my friend, you are going to borrow to consume, and you will be in total financial crisis. Never borrow to consume. Borrow to invest. And if you invest, there's what we call idea. You know what? Not all ideas are viable. And that is why some of us have gone to the banks, we've borrowed money, and we've invested in wrong places. Yes, we've invested in places where we cannot retrieve that money. You can never get that money. I'm saying this. We have business incubation centers in this nation. Before you invest in any project, why don't you do your due diligence? Why don't you do a small research? Why don't you contact and talk to consultants like us? Because I may only charge you some little fee that is going to save you $1 million. Why do you want to go invest this money before you have exact knowledge and approval, especially from a consultant? People don't love going for consultancy, and that is why it becomes very expensive by the end of the day. It becomes very expensive even to get that loan. So I'm just saying, if you have a loan right now, maybe you are servicing a loan, and you are also struggling even to put food on the table. Please, I'm saying this, and I still repeat, whenever you get money, think about loan. The first thing, think about this loan. Service your debt. Why? Because you are going to plunge into real depression before you know. So think of how you are able to reduce this. Even if it is by half, you can always agree with these financial institutions or the debtors. You tell them, guys, because of this and this, I'll be paying this. But at least try to reduce that debt. Because if you don't do that, tomorrow you are going to come to my office because you are too much depressed for nothing.
All right. I normally look forward to conversations on Money Monday because I learn as well. Now right here at Money Monday, we normally give our audience the opportunity to just to explore business avenues as well as just to give them money management tips. Now, you mentioned something about businesses, and I want to touch on that. In times of crisis like this, when we have protests like I had mentioned earlier, and these businesses have recorded losses since the protests began. Now, for someone, a business person who has set their priorities right, they know what they want in their business, but they are incurring losses at such a time as this, how can they manage their finances now? They already have their priorities right.
Wow. That is amazing. Anytime you are starting a business, you must know that there are external factors that may affect you directly or indirectly. You must know that there are internal factors. That is why, before you start a business, in that business plan, I want to see the SWOT analysis. I want to see the PESTEL. Have you analyzed the external environment? Have you analyzed the internal environment? You know, there are some things that may a crisis that might have been started by external forces, like whatever the mandaman that is going on. You know, I'm happy it has been called up for the Wednesday. I'm very happy because you know what, hustlers, people who are struggling, small SMEs, were really affected by this the so-called mandaman. Why? Because if you take your goods outside there, you are not going to come back with them. Of course, they will be damaged, they will be destroyed, they will be stolen. And imagine, this is somebody who is living from hand to mouth. Yes. So I know we are going to have the peace back, but before that, anytime you want to start a business, you must also calculate the risks, okay? Especially the risks that might be caused by external factors. External factors including economic crises, political instigations, of course maybe legal issues, government policies, things of the kind. You must give them a space. And right now, if you are an SME, you have to be very creative. Why am I talking about creativity in this sense? You must be creative in the sense that the little money that you are investing today, you have to really, really think of the business, the kind of business you want to start. Why? Because if you are still going on with the business that mandamano can affect 100%, it means that idea is almost becoming obsolete. You know why? Because every time you want to come up with an idea that you want to implement, then by the end of the day, you are also looking for an ROI, return on investment, because no one will always invest money where they cannot retrieve it, you know? So what do? You need to really think outside the box and see how you are able to, calculate the risks and how you are going to manage these risks. You see, we just run business outside there, but we don't know what we call risk management. And that is a problem. And that is why when you come to my class, my financial literacy class, we shall teach you what we call risk management, because any business must be attached to risk. So long as you want profit, you must know that there must be a risk that can come because of external factors or even internal factors. Okay, but when these risks come, how do I manage them? So I beg all SMEs, now go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, how do I go? How do I manage the risks that my business are facing at the moment, especially from political instigation?
So as we wind up, Dr. Ari, and of course I'm really grateful for your time right here. So how can we formulate plans now in order to achieve long-term goals now in time to avoid financial woes?
Thank you so much. You know what? Anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur must be a risk taker. And the fact that you receive losses at one point in business does not mean that idea is completely bad. What do you need to do? What I need to do as an entrepreneur is that I go back to the drawing board and ask myself the viability of this particular idea. The idea could be working. It might have worked in the year 2020, 2021. But in the year 2023, this idea is almost becoming an obsolete. It means what? I have to go back to the drawing board. And you can't go back to the drawing board alone. You need a consultant. You see, the problem we have in this nation is that people don't want to do consultancy. They don't want to pay something small there so that they can get the information from the horse's mouth. So you go on by hearsays. Do you know why Quail had to stop? Do you know why people lost a lot of money in Quail's business?
No.
Yes. Everyone was talking about quails. It was rumors. Quails. By the end of the day, the early investors at least got something. But the late investors really counted losses like no one's business. It is because no one tells you that, you know what, this idea that you are speaking about, it may not be viable in the next 2 years. So if you want to invest in this particular business, this is what you can, this is the path you're supposed to take. So we urge our people that before you invest, you implement any idea, kindly do a lot of due diligence, do a lot of, consultation, so that by the end of the day, you can also get, some little idea on how to go forward. That is why I welcome all of us. Right now, we are running cohort 2 of financial management. Please come to class and learn this thing before you count losses.
Thank you so much. That is Dr. Austin Omanya from the Global Strategic Pillar Consultancy. Thank you so much, Dr. for your time right here.